Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning here today to do a Naruto discussion video. Now, before I hop right in, I do want to say a few things. First of all, I'm not too sure exactly what I'm going to call this video. I'll figure it out later. But the main thing here is that I want to talk about the Naruto villains as a whole. All the villains. At least those I can remember. Because right now I'm off the cuff. And normally I would go back into the story, read a few chapters based on the villains to get a better idea of their, to remind myself of their characterization, their ideals, and so on and so forth. But the villains that comprise the fourth Great Ninja War, I remember them the most. And then after that, I kind of get a little bit hazy. So if I forget stuff, if I leave stuff out, I apologize. But again, I'm off the cuff here. That's number one. Number two is that I was going to do this video on Saturday. That was my plan. However, Saturday, something surprising arose, alright? Brandy, I was like, fuck no! So, Saturday, especially Saturday night, I couldn't really do anything pertaining to Naruto because I was busy with other stuff. So, I decided, you know what, let me push back the video to today. So, here's today, Monday, and here's the video. So, this video is happening because of the latest chapter of Naruto, Kaguya. And how lackluster, because she wasn't imposing at all, how, as an overall villain, she just seems to fall behind many of the villains in Naruto. And in essence, I believe that Kaguya, in culmination with Black Zetsu, are bad villains. Now, I'll get into it later when I go over the specifics, but let me go over the talking points, and let me start with power. Because power is very simple. From a power standpoint, Kaguya is the most powerful among all the villains that exist in Naruto. Period, bar none. That's easy. When you compare it to Orochimaru, I mean, he couldn't really destroy the village of Konoha. That to him was a struggle. He could summon giant snakes, and anything above, like, let's say, like, I mean, I think city's a stretch. I think it's a huge stretch when it comes to Orochimaru. But he wasn't that powerful compared to the villains that come after Orochimaru. We're talking about Nagato. We're talking about Itachi as a villain. I'm not talking about as characters. I'm talking about strictly villains. So when I say Nagato the villain, I'm not talking about Nagato like when he comes back to like have his final moments with Naruto when he's an Edo Tensei. Nor am I talking about Itachi when he helps Sasuke out fight against Kabuto. No, I'm talking about characters when they're specifically villains. Of course, Obito as a villain. Obito's more powerful than Orochimaru. So, when you go up the ladder, Kaguya is the pinnacle of power. She could grab people. When I say grab, I mean she could warp them into alternate dimensions. She could control those dimensions fully, and at least she did so with the ice one. So, if she did so with the ice one, you can assume that she can do it for the other dimensions as well. But the point here is that she is the most powerful. However, it's not enough. Power, when it comes to a villain, power can only go so far. How much you blow up, how much you can destroy or alter can only go so far. You need to have other things for you in order to actually make you a real good villain when you take it to the series as a whole. Now, when it comes to the next talking point, characterization, this is one of the parts where Kaguya falls short. When it comes to whoa, fuck me in the ass, no homo. When it comes to Kaguya from a characterization standpoint, all she does is like float there, like like at one point in time, she did have this whole thing, like I'm gonna have emotions, I'm gonna cry because you guys remind me of my sons, Hagoromo, and I think his name is Homura. And after that, it was just stoic attack and internal monologues, but no real characterization. Like we couldn't really tell like what she was from, like she was just stoic, all right? She just had no real emotions, and aside from that one point where she cried again, and after that it was just meh. Like she didn't really have any pizzazz. She wasn't imposing. She didn't have any oomph. Like she didn't grasp you. And plus the fact that she was being led along by freaking Black Zetsu again does not help her at all. However, you go down the ladder, Madara. Whoa, dog. Characterization, Madara is superb. He is superb because, number one, we have an idea of who Madara is from his childhood. Keep in mind that Madara is not the way he is today because of choice. Not like Orochimaru, no. Because Orochimaru had a pretty decent childhood, I would assume, yeah. Madara is the way he is today because he was born into a chaotic world. He was born into a chaotic situation where it was nothing but war and genocide of clans and so on and so forth. He's seen the worst of humanity. Furthermore, Madara as a character, he is cocky and he's arrogant and he's extremely imposing, but at the same time humble. And I love that about Madara because Madara, in a lot of cases, has like these different. He has different elements to his characterization that normally would conflict, but in his case, they actually work out fairly well. And again, when it comes to his past as a child, very important. I remember this quote. It was more or less justice without power is either meaningless or useless. One of those two. And it shows you that even though when he was a child, he had the same mentality as Naruto did. Right? Many people have the same mentality as Naruto. Obito did, Nagato did, and so on and so forth. But Madara, later on in his life, what happens with Hashirama, and Hashirama choosing Toriyama as the next Hokage, and how you had Madara, after some debate with Hashirama, he tells him, you know what? I should have told you to kill your brother, not kill yourself. That's what I should have done. And after having read the stone tablet, the Uchiha stone tablet, he completely throws away the notion that he had before that is similar to Naruto's current notion. So Madara's characterization in this aspect, I think, is superb. It's wonderful. But, and again, that whole factor of conflicting parts of his characterization that actually meld fairly well. So that's Madara. Then you go down the list even more. Kabuto. Shit. It's utter shit. Because Kabuto's characterization is nothing more than a mere knockoff of Orochimaru's. That's it. That's Kabuto. In fact, you know what? Kabuto is the worst villain in Naruto. Period, bar none. There are some, because they're out there, there are some Kabuto supporters, but my response to them is no. No. He is the worst villain, period. So, we move on. Obito's characterization is actually more or less like Naruto's characterization. And the only difference here is that he had a moment, if you would, a moment of doubt where Madara took advantage of that. And that was when Rin died, pretty much. And then after that, later on, like a few chapters, like, you know, like where we are in the story, pretty much, his characterization returns back to that same notion of Naruto's. So, but that's when he's not a villain. When he is a villain, he pretty much has, his character is very similar to like Nagato's. He's stoic, and he likes talking to Naruto about like the pain and my heart is empty, like, or like my chest is empty, I have no heart, and bullshit like that. And of course, there's the key factor to his characterization, Rin and Kakashi, and his childhood that was nice and peaceful, and then wound up turning to shit because Rin died and Kakashi killed her, and shit like that. So overall, his characterization, it's decent. It's like subpar at best, but it's not the best. Because again, Madara has the best. But we move on. Nagato's characterization is okay. When it comes from a character standpoint, he's very stoic. He's not talkative. He's not eccentric. But he is imposing because of his power and his knowledge and his... And this ties more to his ideals, but his mindset of how he should dictate the current world when it comes to amassing money and amassing military might via the Jubies, the Bijou. So that's more of an ideal of ideals and ambition standpoint, but I'll get to that soon. The thing here is that when it comes to Nagato, before he was a villain, he was almost like Naruto, but then later on changes, and when he is a villain, very stoic, very, straightforward. We gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, and so on and so forth. And then if you want to go to the if you want to go to the other villains, like among the Akatsuki, Hidan and Kakuzu. Hidan being, I think, like the most eccentric and just pretty cool with the praying to whatever god he believes in. And then you have Kakuzu with the money, but again, very stoic. It's Kisame who has a lot of personality, and he's actually a fun character. Though he's a villain, he's a fun character, and you always want to see what he's going to do. But especially when it came to his interaction with my guy, very nice, very funny. Itachi is Itachi, enough said. I mean, basically, it was Sasuke manipulation to like a massive degree, and stoic, but always having like a certain veil around him, never knowing what he actually would do, and so on and so forth. Then you go down the ladder even further to Orochimaru, and I'll end off there when it comes to Orochimaru, because when it comes to overall villains, because there's other villains like fucking Deidara and Sasori, but nah, they're not that relevant in my mind right now. Again, off the cuff, so at this point in time, they're not that relevant. When it comes to Orochimaru, his characterization, his past is pretty much in like a veil, like Itachi's at that point in time. But because Itachi, when he is not a villain, we find out more about his past, obviously. But when he is a villain, he has this constant veil. Orochimaru, the same thing. And then we find out more or less that he was like a scientist type, and he would always experiment, and his characterization is closely tied to his curiosity. And if he has to break ethical and moral boundaries in order to actually gain information in the name of his twisted science, he has no qualms doing that. And plus, he has a whole pedophile, pedo vibe to him, which, again, is another plus point because it gives him character. It gives him something more than just a regular stoic villain, like Kaguya, and to a certain degree, like Nagato. Now, again, that's a point where Kaguya is severely lacking. Now, when it comes to their overall worth to the story, the main villains that I want to focus on are Nagato, Madara, Kaguya, and Orochimaru. The rest of the villains, because Itachi had a lot of worth to Sasuke, but in the grand scheme of the world of Naruto, wasn't to a certain degree that much, since he was a puppet of... Well, okay, a puppet's a strong word, but he was under orders to do this, and that from Nagato, who was thereby under the orders of doing it from Toby or Obito, which in that sense, Madara. But again, you get my point here. When it comes to Orochimaru, his worth arguably may be the greatest, because first of all, he is, in essence, standalone. It's Orochimaru and his boys, and that's it. For almost the entirety of Naruto, the first half, aside from Zabuza, and for a little bit of the second half, it's Orochimaru focus, and it's him and his boys do the work. And he ushers in. Without him, you don't get a time skip. That's just the way it is. Without Orochimaru, you don't have the death of not only Ryuzen, but also the fourth Kazekage, Gaara's father. Without Orochimaru, you don't have a lot of the initial character growth of the main characters and then the secondary characters, like Rock Lee, like Gaara, and so on and so forth. Orochimaru, his overall worth to the story is quintessential for an entire half, and then some. So that's why I say arguably probably the most worth to the entire series, Orochimaru. And again, he's standalone. It's him and his boys, and that's it. Where in which, when it comes to everyone else after the time skip, it's this whole chain. It's, oh, well, we're the Akatsuki, and we're Sasori, or we're Hidan and Kakuzu. And we're doing this because of this reason. Because we're following the orders of Nagato, who was following orders of Toby/Obito, who was following orders of Madara Uchiha, who's already dead, who in essence was being manipulated by Black Zetsu for restoring Kaguya. Like, it's a whole fucking chain. It's a whole chain of shit, which Orochimaru is not a part of. Orochimaru, he's by himself. Like, I'm by myself here in the corner. Or I have my own island. and then you have everyone else packed in like this one fucking area of the island. It's like shit. Like here's Orochimaru's half, and here's everyone else's half. That's the way it rolls. However, when it comes to the worth of Nagato, it's very important because Nagato is actually the one who asked Naruto the hard questions. He has a very close tie to Jiraiya, therefore he has a very close tie to Naruto. And he's one of the reasons why Naruto is the way he is today. Though he did destroy Konoha. Orochimaru tried that, he failed. Nagato did destroy Konoha, he revived everyone back from the fucking dead. If you had actually left it that way, if you had killed off everyone and just left it that way, he would have been far more, his worth to the overall story would have been a lot greater. And then he comes back when he's Edo Tensei, when he's not a villain, and pretty much it's, oh, well, do you know now what to do, Naruto? And Naruto's like response is in essence a fucking thumbs up, and that's it. So Nagato, his worth to the main character is significant, and to the overall story, it's pretty big given his ties to Jiraiya, and the fact that he destroyed the village, and the fact that it was initially him ordering around the Akatsuki to capture the tail beast, therefore creating all this panic, therefore the initial reason why the Kage summit had to go down in the first place. But he revives everyone from the dead, and then he comes back to pretty much have his answer told to him by Naruto in the form of a thumbs up, like, believe it bullshit. It was terrible. So as a villain, he's worth a lot, but later on, it's, yeah. Then you have Obito, who, in essence, his worth ties into Madara's worth. That's it. When he's a villain, his worth ties into Madara's worth. That's it. That's all you gotta say. Madara, fucking shit. Fucking shit, dog. Madara is, in essence, the reason why everything went down the way it did. Consider the fact that Madara was the one who broke the chain of Indra and Ashura. He was the one who came back to life. And he was the one who manipulated Obito. Therefore, every action that correlates to every Akatsuki member. The death of Azuma. The death of Chiyoba. The destruction of Konoha. The capturing of the tail beast. Everything points back to who? Madara Uchiha. That's that nigga. That's that nigga. You want to talk about worth? That's worth. And plus, he is the one who actually activates Infinite Tsukiyomi. Oh, dog. Oh, no, dog. Oh no, dog. Oh, no, dog. You want to talk about worth? Niggas with a lot. With a lot. Kaguya, it's weird because Kaguya per se is not worth, I mean, aside from the fact that she is the origin of chakra, therefore without her the series in essence doesn't exist. However, when it comes to her immediate worth, she's not worth that much at all. I mean, she comes in there, she takes over Madara. I mean, Madara is not defeated by any person. He's not defeated by any good guy. He is taken over by Kaguya. Sneak attack by Black Zetsu. And what Kaguya does with this newfound power is absolutely nothing. She accomplishes nothing. And I'll get to that soon. But she accomplishes nothing. She has a whole plan laid out, I suppose. The plan never gets fulfilled. And at the end of the day, Kaguya just seems to be mooching off what Madara did, to be quite honest. To be very honest. I mean, Black Zetsu has more worth than Kaguya. Aside from the fact that she's the origin of chakra, what else is there to Kaguya? What else? So then we go on to the last point, which is probably the most important point. And that is ideals and ambition. This is where Madara excels above every villain in the Naruto series by far. By far. But first, when it comes to Nagato, his ideals were very similar to Naruto's, and then that changed up, obviously, after his friend died. I forgot his name. And then his ambitions and his goals are pretty much, we have to amass the tail beast so we can amass money and military might. That's simple. That's his ambitions. Amass money and military might. Because the way I see it, that's the only way we can attain peace. In essence, Nagato, Toby/Obito, Madara, all three of them have ambitions of peace. But the real thing here is how they went about it. So, we move on. When it comes to Kabuto, everything that he did, again, was a mimic of Orochimaru. His ambitions, his ideals, even that shit. Not only was his characterization that of Orochimaru, but also his ideals and ambitions. Done. Again, that's why he's so shitty, because he's just a crappy knockoff. Orochimaru more or less destroyed Konoha. Very simple. His ideals, they tie with this whole notion of science and always trying to find out more and, basically amass as many jutsu as possible. That was his ideal and how he went about it. Well, I should say that was one of his ambitions. His ideals are hand in hand with the science aspect of his character. And just finding out more. More is better, alright? More jutsu, more knowledge is better. That's the way he operated, pretty much. When it comes to Obito, his persona, his ideals, his ambition were given to him by Madara. Again, not exactly the best thing for a villain, to where the villain, his entire ideology, it was given to him by another individual, in this case Madara. So that's very simple. But then we go over to Madara. And then hold on, wait, Obito. Ambitions. Rin. Yeah. So when you go to ideals, Obito had no ideals of his own. Right, he had no ideas of his own. And then his ambition was to be with Rin, a 13, 14-year-old girl, for the rest of his imaginary life. Kabuto's the worst. Obito's the second worst. That to me is obvious. But then we go over to Madara. Madara, the great Uchiha. Now, people always wonder why I consider Madara the best villain in Naruto. It's because of his ideology and his ambition. First of all, let's start here. Number one, that quote. What is it again? Justice without power is meaningless or useless. This kickstarts the ideology and ambition of the greatest villain in Naruto history. Madara, his goal was to put people in Infinite Tsukiyomi. Why? For peace. Now, again, Madara was raised in an environment where he saw nothing but perpetual warfare and genocide. He's seen the worst of humanity. He put his faith in his best friend, Hashirama, and Hashirama let him down by letting Toriyama become the next Hokage. Now, very important. Madara wants to create a world without any chakra. A world of no chakra. Why is that? Because Madara, at that point in time, read the stone tablet. He realized that the idea of the sage, Ninshu, the original purpose of chakra was what? A means of linking people together so they could understand, sympathize, empathize with one another. But what happened was chakra became weaponized. Over the course of time, people, it all starts with Indra and Asha, I believe, where they start fighting each other. They weaponize chakra. They completely deviate from what is ninshu, and they create chakra, or they utilize chakra as a means of fighting, weapons. Madara sees that as the reason as to why this world is the way it is today. The ongoing warfare, no matter which era shinobi reside in, wars continue. Peace, and this is very important, peace is impossible if chakra exists. Therefore, we remove chakra. And I alone, Madara, become the only source of chakra that exists on the planet. And I will lead the way. I will pave the way towards peace. And I remember Uber Akari said in one of his videos a while ago, like a few months ago, when it comes to Madara's notion of peace, he is forcing peace upon the world. He's forcing peace. How do you force peace? He's doing it. Or at least he tried to. Forcing peace upon the world. Not only that, but when it came to Madara's ideology, what is so fantastic about Madara's ideology? Let me start here. Madara has a god or a savior, messiah complex, even though he's humble. And the reason why is because of the fact that Madara, he believed that his ideal would permeate across history and time. Because his ideals were more or less, I will become the only source of chakra. But in essence, peace requires the absence of chakra. Peace coincides with the absence of chakra. All wars, all genocide that he has been through, that he has seen over the course of time, originate because chakra exists. Now, the awesome part here is that Madara, in doing so, therefore, becomes the Sage of Six Paths. And his ideology permeates across history and time even after his death. Therefore, Madara continues to exist through his own ideology. It's a wrap. It's over. It's done. Madara, even after his death, would continue to exist through his ideology because he was able to enforce peace. That's why Madara is so goddamn good. Now, granted, he failed, obviously, because of Kaguya's interference. That's what happened. Madara was on cloud 18,000. He activated Infinite Tsukiyomi. And who happens to pop out of nowhere? Black Zetsu Kaguya. Madara was not defeated by any good guy. He was taken out from behind by another villain. And then we get into Kaguya. Kaguya's ambitions, ideals, are all unknown. We have no idea why she did what she did. None whatsoever. She wanted to create a world where, like, she built an army of some kind. For who? Like, why would you need an army, Kaguya? No one knows. No one knows why. And then, of course, you have fucking, oh, well, the world's my nursery. Okay, what does that mean? No one knows. Kaguya herself, not only in the grandstand of the story, hopped right into the story. Like, she hopped right in. Because you have Madara, who's there for a long period of time, and his influence is there for a long period of time, and it's known that his influence is there for a long period of time through Obito, who, in essence, became Madara because he embraced fully his ideology and his ambition while wearing the mask. But also, you have villains like Orochimaru, who are there for a long period of time, who are grandstand. Villains like Nagato, who are there for a long time, who are grandstand. But Kaguya, she hops in at the end of this arc, and she doesn't explain why she's doing what she does, why she's doing all this, why she wants to make the world her nursery, why she needs an army, and so on and so forth. We have no idea. None. Zero. Donut. Just Kaguya. And she's already sealed. Kaguya herself, as a villain, seemed to be unsure of her own actions, which is probably the main reason why you had Black Zetsu always leading her to do things. Nowhere even near posing like Madara. Madara, who can take on Bijou while blind. Who activated infinite fucking Tsukiyomi. No. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Madara is the best villain. Orochimaru's number 2. Then everyone else falls in between those two. And then you have the last 3. You have Kaguya, you have Obito, and then you have the worst villain Naruto, Kabuto. That's the way I see it. And I'm done. So the video was kind of long because I kind of want to get my thoughts out there. It was impromptu, it was off the cuff, but it is what it is, so I guess I'll call it a day. So King of Lightning, rate the video, comment, subscribe, give me your thoughts. What do you guys think? I laid it out for you as best as I could, impromptu, with some few talking points, and that's it. So, yeah, peace. Have a nice day. The video is not over yet because I want to make a point of clarification in case people didn't fully understand what I was talking about in the video. There is a difference between Madara and Black Zetsu and Madara and Obito. Madara and Black Zetsu, all Black Zetsu really did in order to quote-unquote manipulate Madara was alter the contents of the stone tablet as well as create Black Zetsu, well, like the other half of Zetsu, if you would. And that was mainly manipulating Obito at that point in time. Madara himself was dead. So even though Madara was still being manipulated, everything after that point in time was up to Madara himself. However, Obito, when he put the Toby mask on, he was Madara. He defined Madara in ambition and ideology which were not his own. Aside from Rin, which we find out later on in the story once he reveals himself to be Obito. So understand that clear difference. In the main thing here between Madara and Black Zetsu is a few tweaks here and there in Black Zetsu's control, in Black Zetsu's manipulation. Nothing that would actually define the villain Madara. Madara is still a self-defined villain. But Obito is not a self-defined villain when he wears the Toby mask. Even the personality of Toby, like before he announces to the world that he's Madara, even that upbeat, wacky personality came from a Zetsu clone. So with this being clarified, Obito didn't have any grandstand position as a villain until during the 4th Great Ninja War, when he was revealed to be Obito. Up until that point in time, he's Madara. He's literally Madara. So hopefully that gets through your heads in case you didn't get the first time or the second time. So that's it. I'll see you guys later. Have a nice night.